Okay, so I don't have any real notes with me right now. I just want to, yeah, talk about what's on my mind this morning, right? So, I've always been entrepreneurial, always been into business. That's always been my thing, basically. I remember, I remember when I was younger, right? I used to like go around selling muffins and all sorts of stuff, right? Like I've always figured that if I have something you want, I can probably sell it and make some sort of money out of it. Fine. So think about looking back. If I give myself some advice, right? What advice would I have given I'm 23 now, but let's say I was like 16 or so, 17, 18. What advice would I give? And one thing that I did, and I'm glad I did, is I always just started, as in don't overthink it. Usually the biggest amount of business success I've always seen was always because I just started. I didn't overthink it, right? As in for me, and I've always grown faster when I immerse myself in whatever I was doing fully, right? Because what I know about myself is that I can become a very obsessive person, as in if I say this is what I'm doing, I can lock in fully, as in that's all that's really on my mind for the entirety of the day, weeks on end, months on end, years on end, right? And I always grew the fastest whenever I did that. It's almost as though I take moments, like for example, if I said I'm going to start a clothing brand or whatever else, just as an example, I'd make sure I was in it. If I was watching videos, those are the only videos I'd watch. I'd find movies that talk about it. I'd find anybody that's discussing it. I'd look through every website. I'd look at all the design work. I'd look at video how people are marketing the brand, how editors designing the clothing, how they're designing a logo, how they're doing. I'd be there for a long time, right? I'd be immersed in it fully. And every single time I've ever done that, right, I grew more than any other period of time in my life. It's when I tried to do things half-heartedly where I eventually became stagnant, right? So what I've learned is going all in really is the solution. As in there is no, people talk about, oh, what's the secret? What's the key? I know, for example, the moment I went all in, I started making money. The moment as in there's no, as in I'm not thinking about other things. I'm not considering anything else. I want to make this business grow. As soon as I started shifting my mind like that, I started making money. Right. It's when I started trying to do things half-heartedly. It was okay, no, I need to split my time like this. I need to consider that. I need to, I don't know, all that other stuff. Yeah, every time I did that, I just became stagnant, or things took so much longer than they should have, or I ended up getting bored of it, or I eventually changed my mind, or I eventually stuff happened, right? But every single moment I went all in, and that's the advice I give myself, and I'm glad. I've had moments I went all in, I had moments when I didn't go all in, and what I can tell so far is that every time I've ever gone all in, I always got the ROI, and that was always insane. I got the greatest yield. So if you're that type of person and you want to start a business, you know that you want to start whether it be an agency, or you become a freelancer, or you want to make some pocket money or whatever, right? Immerse yourself in the culture, as in that's a real thing, as in put yourself in it, right? Make sure that you're watching things about it, you're reading things about it, you're listening to other people that have already done it, you are immersing yourself in the entire ecosystem. Go all in, right? Don't try and figure out how can I half-heartedly do this. Don't try and figure out how can I do this while managing, as in for me at least, right? That just didn't work. Maybe it works for you, but for me, stuff like that never really worked. I'm the type of person where I just have to go all in always, right? And make sure I do what I said I'm going to do. I think as well, whenever I've done things like, I don't know, I don't explain, it's almost as though, sorry, this is just on my mind right now. People talk about like the 10,000 hour rule, where they say, for example, it takes 10,000 hours for you to become a master at anything, as in it takes 10,000 hours for mastery. When you think of it that way, you then realize that volume is your answer. As in, part of the reason why I could pick up and drop business models quickly is because I went through them quickly, if that makes sense. It's almost as though, imagine you and your friend are both reading a book, but he reads 50 pages a day, but you read 2. It's not that the person is more intelligent per se, it's just they're doing more. He got to a conclusion faster than you did because he just did more volume. So there's certain business models and things I looked at where within half a year, so I could say, maybe not a full year, maybe like half a year, so I could get then realize, nah, this could work, but it's not the best option for the South African economy. It's not the best option for where I am right now. It's not going to, as in the solution I thought was right will probably only be right in the next like maybe 2 years. So I'm gonna just be a bit more patient with it. I could reach those conclusions so quickly because I was doing so much volume, and you quickly realize that volume really is the answer. Even when it comes to things like, for example, sales, right? As in, remember, sorry, I don't have any notes here, so I'm just going off what's on my mind right now. You realize even when it comes to sales, right, the volume really is the answer. If you realize that you make one sale per, and that's not actually like realize, where if you make a sale per, let's say, 100 calls, let's say you're doing cold calling, you call 100 people, and for every 100 people you call, one of them ends up saying, oh, they'd like to buy your product or they want your service. You then quickly realize, okay, fine, if I need 5 of them, right, to achieve my whatever amount of money you want, or if I need 10 of them to achieve whatever my goal is, right, it probably means if I need 5 of them, it means I need to make 500 calls. If I need 10 of them, right, I need to make 1,000 calls. And it just becomes a volume game where you realize that it's not that it's complicated work, it just needs to become more strategic work, and you do it at scale. It's a volume game, really. It really is just a numbers game. If you can do things, if you can do more faster than other people, you get to those conclusions quicker than they do, right? If you do more, if you do more, what's the word I'm looking for right now? If you do more outreach than the person next to you, you're going to get to a client faster. If you immerse yourself in a culture longer and quicker than other people, you're going to get to conclusions faster than they would have. If you spend more time trying to learn an instrument versus the person next to you, you're going to be able to play that song before they do. It really always, all of it is just volume. It's when you try and do things half-heartedly where that's when it ends up delaying. And for me, my logic is, especially people that are still in their early 20s, if you're still young and you're still at that age where you've got like limited liabilities, liabilities being responsibilities, right? As in what beyond your whatever your payments would be, right? But let's say you're still a young guy, a young lady, you don't have any payments really. You're not married, you don't have kids, you don't have expenses, right? My advice would be volume, right? Volume. How you do that, immerse yourself in what it is that you're doing. Make sure you go all in. Make sure that you throw yourself at it. If you do that at scale for a prolonged period of time, I think it was what's his name now? Alex Hormozi that said it. He said that do so much volume that do so much volume that winning is inevitable. No, he said do so much volume that not becoming successful becomes unreasonable. Something along those lines, right? But it makes perfect sense. So his whole thing is that if you do enough volume, it's inevitable that you're going to make it there. That's it's a given, right? So that's advice I'll probably give my younger self. One of the things I'm glad that I've done before, one of the things that I should have done more of, the right, volume. How much can you do and how long can you do it for? As in if you can commit to not burning out for an extended period of time and you put in the work for that period of time, you're going to reach your goal. As in it's inevitable, right? As in imagine it's like a 100-meter dash. If you put one leg forward before the other, right, continuously like that, repeatedly, day in, day out, like that, right, you're going to get to the finish line. It's inevitable. It's going to happen. Now the question is, do you want to achieve that in 2 years? Do you want to achieve that in 10 years? Do you want to achieve that in 50 years? As in the goalpost doesn't shift. It's just about who's going to put one foot before the other more regularly, more consistently, right? At least from what I've seen. I don't know if it works the same with other industries. I don't know if it works the same with other business models. I don't know, but I know definitely when it comes to things like making money online, and whether you're starting a clothing brand, whether you're starting an agency, whether you're starting whatever else it might be, I'm fairly certain that when it comes to online companies, that strategy always works. But yeah, anyway, so yeah, no, so like I said, I just want to share what was on my mind this morning. Hopefully that helps someone. That's advice that, looking back, I did it. I could have done a lot more of it. I'd have reached more conclusions sooner, but we live and we learn. So hopefully it helps somebody.